In the last few episodes, we've been building out an ecosystem that supports a scalable UX strategy. So we've covered things like services, tools, design systems, and even preferred suppliers. But there's one more piece to that infrastructure that can have a surprisingly big impact, and that is your user research repository. If you want to empower others to take on UX work without losing too much quality, you need to give them a solid foundation to build on. And that means they shouldn't have to start from scratch every time they run a project. And they certainly shouldn't have to repeat the same user research over and over again just because nobody saved the results. And that's where a repository comes in. At its core, this is simply a central searchable place to store past user research. Not just what you've done, but what anybody across the entire organization have done or conducted. This should include things like personas or audience segmentations, journey maps, surveys, interview transcripts, usability test results, analytics insights, heat maps, recordings, notes from field studies or other observational research. It's essentially your institutional memory, a UX library, if you like. A well-managed research repository offers tons of practical benefits. It saves time and budget by avoiding repeating research. It improves consistency in how decisions are made. It reveals patterns and trends across multiple teams or time periods. And it encourages adoption by making research feel more accessible and less mysterious. And just as importantly, it gives your colleagues the confidence to use research in their own projects. When people know that they're not starting from a blank page, they're far more likely to engage. So what should you include and how should you organize it? Well, you want to organize your repository around two primary themes: audience and services. From the audience point of view, this will include everything relating to your users, so personas, journey maps, survey results, transcripts from interviews. When it comes to your services, that's everything about the products or experiences that you provide. So things like task completion insights, usability testing, analytics dashboards, Hotjar and Microsoft Clarity recordings, conversion funnel analysis, that kind of thing. You can use tags and categories to make these easy to find, things like project name, audience type, date, and tools used. And you also might want to make note of the age of the research because outdated insights can often be misleading. So simply adding a last update or a research date field will make a big difference there. There are purpose-built platforms for managing things like this, forms like CodeDen and Dovetail that do this obviously really well. But if budgets are tight, a shared Notion workspace or a Microsoft Teams library will work just fine. What matters is that it's easy to search, clearly structured, and openly accessible to everybody. Related to the repository, there's another simple asset that can be massively beneficial and speed up research across the organization, and that's a user mailing list. Maintaining a list of users that have opted in to participate in testing, interviews, or surveys can save hours every time someone wants to run a study. You can build this list by including a research opt-in checkbox in your forms or newsletters, by promoting it in email signatures or on product dashboards, and by asking customer service teams to flag helpful users. In large organizations, you may need to gate access so users aren't bombarded, but in smaller teams, making the list available to trusted colleagues can really encourage adoption. If you're running a freelance practice or a small agency, this all applies just as much to you, but instead of organizing internal research, think about what you can package up for your clients. You could compile insights from previous similar clients into some kind of reference deck. You can offer templated journey maps or personas as part of a discovery phase, and you can maintain your own user panel for fast, lightweight testing on behalf of clients. Over time, this builds your intellectual property that adds value to the services that you provide. It also makes you faster and more credible in the eyes of prospective clients because you're not just winging it. You're bringing tested insights and proven patterns to the table. If you're serious about scaling your UX influence, a research repository and user mailing list aren't just nice to haves. They're part of the invisible infrastructure that lets good UX practice flourish without your constant involvement. We'll talk more next time about how to keep the quality high as people start running their own user research, because Empowering people is one thing and ensuring they do it well is another.